All right. Hello, this is Wmpyr. As you can see, the topic here today is the ultimate martial arts technique. I have to thank my longtime buddy. He's the one that gave me the idea for this video, and I'm going to try to do my best. This is kind of complex. Yesterday, for example, I tried to make you guys a video. Um, I just felt like I couldn't. It was a different topic from this, and I just felt like I wasn't doing a good enough job of talking and explaining. So, I don't know. I did like maybe like 5, 6 takes, and each video was like at least 30 minutes long. I mean, and in between each video, you're trying to get into a certain vibe and present it well. And it was just beyond my skill level, I guess. So hopefully with this one, I hope I'll be able to do it. I just didn't like the end result yesterday, so I didn't upload anything. But today, hopefully, I'm probably not going to do that great of a job, but the topic is interesting enough that it will it'll carry itself is what I'm hoping. So anyway, when I think of this right here, the ultimate martial arts technique, the first thing that I think of is what Shioda Sensei said. He was the Aikido master legend over there. Um, what he said in Shioda Sensei, you could actually see video clips of him, and there's stuff that where he's actually doing seminars and stuff. Which is a little bit different from the founder of Aikido, Morihei Sensei, where his clips are, it's way too old. You know what I mean? It's hard to um, get a good view because the video footage is just not good. The quality is just too low. But anyway, Shioda Sensei said that the ultimate technique in Aikido for him was the person that is trying to kill you. So like they break into your home and they're trying to kill you or something, right? So he's saying to turn that person into your friend. That is the ultimate Aikido technique. I believe, to be more specific, it was his son who said that his dad said that, okay, in an interview. So if you're wondering where I got my source there, and it was some kind of like a TV program, a variety show where they had the son demonstrating his stuff. Okay, so to me, the ultimate technique, is it like a deft touch, or is it like I don't know, like some secret Brazilian jiu-jitsu move that's brand new and can tap out anyone, or is it some crazy striking move that could delay the effects? No, look, I'm more along the lines of the Aikido thought there, right? And for me, the ultimate martial arts technique, so to speak, it's kind of weird to call it a technique, but it's the ultimate benefit of martial arts to me. And we know this, right? We know that in martial arts, which it has a bunch of combat stuff in there, whether it's for warfare or whether it's for sport or whether it's for self-defense. It's combat, right? This is the combat medium. Um, we know that there's benefits beyond that. So a lot of martial arts studios, especially the ones catered towards kids, they talk about better concentration. Your school grades will improve, confidence. These kinds of things, right? So we know that there are benefits beyond just the combat techniques and the combat skills. Um, yeah, there's also philosophy, history, even spiritual aspects. We understand that, right? And for some of those that are like, I'm not interested in any of that. Even if you just do like sport fighting, we know that this could give you a code of honor. This could give you the warrior code. And certain people embrace that in martial arts. And some people, surprisingly, like Tank Abbott, someone that you would never expect. He has his own version, of the warrior code. And anyway, but you can have that, and that pushes you, or it makes you strive for a higher code of conduct, So these are all the benefits. I would have to say that the ultimate martial arts so-called technique would be the ability to change your personality for the better. So in martial arts, you got to examine what you're doing. I don't care, once again, if it's all you're doing is sport. You have to look at yourself and go, how can I perform better? So that same self-analysis you could do with your personality. Exactly the same way. You analyze your personality and then you go, what can I do to make it better? And this is huge because your personality is who you are, no matter where you are, where you go. And sometimes you could see that in a certain environment, things could go horribly wrong. Like you just don't get along with people. You started off on the wrong foot and you gave bad first impressions and now they hate your guts and it was a miscommunication and blah, 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 right? And then in another situation, things could go wonderful. Everything just clicked. You all get along. Everything's going right for you. It almost seems like everything you touch just turns to gold, right? Those are two extreme examples, but I'm sure everyone has experienced at least some sort of that, where you're just having an off day and you're just having an on day. Well, personality can totally affect that. So why wouldn't you want, as much as possible, a on day where you're in the zone, right? So that is a huge benefit. Huge benefit. You know people in your circle of the friends and family and just people people that they rub people the wrong, that there's at least always one person, they just, no matter where they go, this person's an instigator, this person just rub people the wrong way, they're just naturally rude, or they're just off, the way they interact and communicate with people, it pisses people off, and you can see that it's not good. It's not positive. The person's a jerk, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Why not make your interactions gold? And wherever you go, you feel like $1,000,000. That's an awesome thing. Martial arts is capable of doing that. Is totally capable. If you understand how to make yourself better, whether it's for combat, then if you understand that, then you could also start to apply that same ideas for your personality change. Okay, part of it is like, I know in fighting, I'm talking about sport fighting, right? If I lose my cool, this could mess me up because now I might deplete all my stamina. I'm exerting a lot of energy, and I'm being inefficient. I'm being telegraphing my moves. I'm being tense. A lot of things. I'm taking away power or my own speed because I'm so tense. I'm not thinking straight. This is huge. If I'm not thinking straight, then I'm not going to be able to make good decisions, especially under pressure. So being able to control my emotions is important, and that's part of personality there. Okay, so my personality in the past, when I was younger, was I had a horrible, horrible temper, very bad. I was spoiled rotten. I was brought up rotten, spoiled. I threw temper tantrums as a kid. If I didn't get what I wanted, I would throw a temper tantrum, I just didn't know how to handle things. And then as I got older, it got worse. Now I have power. Now I would punch the wall. I would make holes in the wall all the time. And yeah, I was violent in behavior. I was headed towards being bipolar for sure. And that comes also my upbringing. My dad, to me, is 100% bipolar, and that's not clinically diagnosed or anything, but the guy has a very volatile personality, very bad temper. That's where I get it from. I've talked to him about it. He says it's in our blood. that it comes from his side of the family. We have cursed blood, whatever. So anyway, yeah, I was like, I need to change this. And I remember it started like affecting me in my martial arts. Because one time, and I remember talking about this to my friend yesterday. I'll try to not make it too long. I was in college, it was in the Aikido club, and there was this big, huge guy, way taller than me. I don't know, like 6'4", something like that, 6'3", like 300 pounds, big dude, right? And this guy in the Aikido club, he was resisting everybody. Okay, so we're supposed to practice the technique, like they show you a wrist lock or something. We're supposed to practice it, and he wouldn't let you do it on him. Okay, we're not sparring. Obviously, it's Aikido, so there is no sparring. We're just trying to practice the moves, and he'll just resist and get out of it. And he'll be like, you see, your technique doesn't work. He didn't say that, but that was his attitude. He was just a jerk, right? He didn't get it. He didn't understand the vibe. And everyone there is smiling, laughing, and having fun, and we're all practicing. And here's this jerk going, Aikido doesn't work. And so he was doing that to everybody, girls, guys, seriously, smaller even than me. I'm a small guy, and it's guys that were even smaller than me. He did it to my buddy, who's a really small guy. And so then I was like, I'm going to stand up for my buddy. This guy's a bully, and I'm not going to let that fly. So I was like, let's see him try that on me. And plus, I was like kind of like the assistant instructor unofficially, just because I was already like, had done martial arts for at least 4 years beforehand. So even though different styles, I mean, there's a lot of crossing over. The way that I can move my body and stuff, Aikido was, I could pick it up fairly quick. At least at the beginner level, right? I wasn't good at Aikido. Just saying, at a beginner level, I could do this stuff. Anyway, so I'm walking around helping people out. I noticed this, so I go up to the guy and I go, here, let me try it. And of course, he resists me, and I can't do it. So then I lost my cool. I was like, oh no, you didn't. And in my mind, I was standing up for the little man. I was going up against the bully. So I justified it as this is like being a hero, right? So I was like, I'm doing good here. He's wrong. I'm good. So it was justified to fight him, right? In reality, it was my ego. I was the kingfish at this tiny Aikido club with a bunch of, college students there trying martial arts for the first time, probably a lot of them. A lot of them were beginners. And here I am there, going, I am the king here. I'm the best guy here. No one can take me. That was my attitude. This was the ego. It was huge ego. So anyway, this guy resisted me. I'm not having any of that. So I shot in on him, trying to take him down. And I mean, this is in the middle of the class, and everyone's freaking out watching us. And we just charged across the mat, the whole mat, and the professor, who's also professor at the university, said absolutely nothing. He should have. If a good teacher would be like, hey, what the hell are you guys doing? Stop that nonsense right now. I'm going to kick you out of the club. He should have reprimanded us. He didn't have to report us or anything. We don't need to be kicked out of the university, but he should have definitely took control and said, I'm not going to allow any of that horsing around. You guys sit Seiza right here, or something like that. If not, get out of my class. He should have done something like that. That's a good teacher. Anyway, he didn't. And so I couldn't take down this big dude. So my ego's like double hurt now, He was just way too big, and I don't know if he had skills or what, but I could not take him down. And so they eventually we kind of like separated, right? We calmed down. People were like, well, dude, what's going on? And we separated. Okay, and it was finished, right? Thankfully, no punches thrown, no kicks thrown or nothing. And then I was like, you know what? I can't let this go. So I walk up to the guy and I grab him by the head, and I put him into a neck crank, and I popped his neck. And I was going to make him do The Exorcist. Okay. I turned his head all the way to his shoulder. So it went pop, pop, the bone, right? Or the joint. It popped. It popped. I remember it popped 4 times. And I was going to go on number 5, I'm going to make his jaw go past his shoulder. Because his head was already, it went all the way to the shoulder, 90 degrees. And I was going to go past that, right? And I was like, that's when I'm going to throw my whole weight, because I went pop, 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 like 4 pops. And then I was going to go on number 5, I'm really going to throw my weight in there. I'm really going to pop it all the way, make his jaw go past his shoulder. In other words, I was going to kill this guy. So I went pop, 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 pop. And I go, here it is, ready to do it. And I said, wait a minute. What the hell are you doing? You're going to kill this guy, dude. You're going to kill this guy. And then I freaked out and I let go. I let go, and this guy's hurt. He's holding his head, neck, and he basically took off. He said nothing, and he was like, and he left. My friend came up to me at that point. My friend came up to me, and he said to me, he said, dude, when you did that right now, just now, your face looked like the demon, like you were possessed. And definitely you have a temper problem and you need to fix that. There is something wrong with you. He was nice enough and he said it calmly and cool. He wasn't trying to be a jerk. He said, with all due respect, I'm just trying to be honest here. You need to fix that. There's something wrong with you, is what he told me. And that was my first sign of this is starting to affect my martial arts. My temper here. And before I thought it was a good thing. Like when I turn it on, I could turn it on. I could rev it up. I could go against anyone. That was my mentality. If I need to, be harsh or whatever, I can do it. Because some people are like, can you? And the first time I got in a street fight, I remember we were throwing punches and kicks at each other. This guy's on the ground now, right? I didn't take him down. I beat him down, right? So this guy's on the ground. And at that point, I wanted to, finish the guy. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay, I could stomp him on his head. I could kick his face like a soccer ball. I could drop an elbow on his spine. I could stomp him on his back. All of those things seemed too harsh, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I don't want to hurt him that much. Even though at that moment, I hated the guy, I beat his ass, but that was still a little too far for me. And I'm sure there are people that have no problem crossing that. But for me, I was like, that's too much. You can't do that. And I really didn't know what to do. So I basically didn't do anything. I let him back up, and that's when he sucker punched me. So I never forgot that. That was my first fight. Okay, and he sucker punched me good. To this day, my vision, my left eye and my right eye is not the same because of that punch. I mean, he punched me so hard there. I'm sure there wasn't, I'm lucky that there was no fracture or nothing, but it messed me up bad to this day. Okay, from one punch. Anyway, I never forgot that. So basically a part of me will question myself, do I have the killer instinct? And then I discovered, yes, I do have the killer instinct, but then it was like, it's too much. Especially in this case. I was willing to kill a guy for my ego. This is horrific. I'm way off on the wrong path, So then what do? Right? Okay, the first thing is to identify. You need to identify your own problem in your personality, right? And then the next thing is you need to start targeting it. So now let me go to switch to a completely different example here. And look, I want you guys to know that this is not a quick process. This takes years. Okay, to change a personality is not an easy thing. So that's why it's the ultimate martial arts technique. If it's going to be that significant, it's going to take time. It's not a simple thing, all right? But the result is huge, right? The results are big benefits. So there were that one example of me fighting the big dude and trying to make him do the exorcist, that's just one red flag for me that happened to me, where I gave myself a red flag. But there were other incidents, not necessarily fights, but there were other incidents where I went, what is wrong with me? My personality is nasty. I need to change this. There was, I remember one time in college, once again, there was a buddy of mine, and he just came in to show me a Tai Chi move that he had just learned. And he was all excited, and he was like, here, look, check this out. And he did I was like, let me see. And he did the Tai Chi form, and he just wanted to share and talk martial arts and hang out. And, it's just two bros that like martial arts, and we're just, talking about the stuff we like, right? That's all it was. And here I am. At the time, I was fighting. I was fighting people from other styles. I was only obsessed about effective and practical. If it ain't effective and if it ain't practical, I don't want to hear nothing about it. So I started grilling him, like just grilling him about like, do you know what that stands for? What is that move right there? That move you just did right now. What is that? You know what the meaning behind that is? How would you use that in a real fight? How would it be effective? I just, what a jackass. It's like I put my friend on trial, and I was just repeatedly grilling. That's when I was like, after he left, I was in a bad mood, and I had basically lectured the guy. Worse, I had humiliated the guy. I was like, I know more. I know real combat. You don't. I did all of those nasty things you see on YouTube. I did it, but in person. And that's why I speak strongly against people that come on YouTube and they're leaving these comments, or they make videos and they're talking about this style doesn't work, or this is the best style, the other styles aren't good. I did that in person to my friend, who is a fellow martial artist. This is a brilliant martial artist. And I was that asshole. And I said to myself, I don't know what's wrong with me. I need to correct this. What are you going to do about it? Well, the problem here is I'm obsessed with effective and practical. I'm obsessed with combat. Now, it's not wrong to pursue realistic application. It's not wrong. But like anything could be used incorrectly or correctly, just like a knife. We could use a knife to carve beautiful things, and make awesome sculptures, or we could use a knife to save our life in the wilderness, or use knife to cook food. But then we could also use knife, to be a serial killer and murder somebody horrifically, so that it's not the knife, it's how you use it, right? So this is the same thing, practical, tactical, effective. That's just the tool to be more effective, to be more practical. That's just the tool. It could definitely be used badly, negatively, and positively, and I was using it negatively, and I didn't realize that. I was like, hey, this is the pursuit of truth. I want to use what really works, and I thought that was a good thing, and I didn't realize I was on a crusade, a jihad, I was just ready to annihilate, massacre, genocide, anything else, and I didn't realize that was tremendously wrong. And because tolerance and compassion is important. If not, you're an asshole. And we're talking about human interaction here. And I was an asshole towards my friend because I was intolerant, and I didn't realize that he was just there to have fun with me. We're just supposed to hang out and talk about cool stuff. And here I am analyzing stuff and, being a mega jerk about it. And so I said to myself, that's the problem, is my obsession with combat here. So I need to chill out with it. I need to let it go. So at the time, I said to myself, what is the least practical in my mind at that time, where I'm obsessed about combat? What is the least practical style, in my opinion, at that time? I'm not saying that I feel this way today. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just saying with my demented mind at that time, I thought that capoeira was the worst style on the planet. And I apologize to any capoeira people today, but that was just my mindset at the time. So I told myself, okay, you think capoeira is just about, sing songs and dance and be acrobatic. Okay, then tomorrow you're going to a capoeira school and you're going to have freaking fun. And the moment your mind starts going into how would I use this for combat, what's effective here, what's not effective, then you need to turn that off and stop being the jackass that you are and just have fun. Focus on that. and, and so I went to a capoeira school, and it was hard. It was hard because I'm so used to analyzing moves and, just thinking in ways of how would I use this in a real fight? How would I use this in self-defense? That's all I cared about. So it was really, really difficult. And I said, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? Shut up and have fun. So I've in my lifetime, I've been to 3 different capoeira schools, and each time it reminds me of that first time that I went. And, I always tell myself, have fun. And you know what's crazy? Is the second capoeira school that I went to, I'll never forget it. The instructor looked like he had killed somebody. You could just see it in his eyes. He looked like he's from the streets, probably the streets of Rio de Janeiro, And this guy, yeah, he was from Brazil. He was very, very, very authentic, and he looked like he was brought up on the streets and he had murdered at least one guy. I could just see it in his face. I think he even had like a knife scar on his face, The guy looked like a killer. And I remember he asked me, he's like, have you done capoeira before? And I said, a tiny bit. And he said, show me. So I did the jinga in front of him. And he was like, no, 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 no. You got to protect your face at all times. And that changed my martial arts. It didn't just change my capoeira. I'm not going to even say I have capoeira, but it changed my martial arts. It changed my martial arts. I went home and I thought, why don't I do that with a Heaven 6? So it revolutionized my Heaven 6. And I've showed it to you guys to do the Heaven 6 that way. And I haven't seen anyone else show it that way. To this day, I haven't seen no one do it like that. But that was a game changer. And in self-defense, would I ever use it? I would. Absolutely. It's one of my arsenals. It's one of the things that I rely on in a self-defense situation. So the martial arts style that I thought was the least effective ended up being a huge proponent into making my martial arts more realistic. So, don't you just love how life shows you things like that? They go, no, you're wrong, son. You're just a little tiny speck in this massive galaxy, in this massive universe. We're going to show you. You ain't nothing. So I am very grateful towards capoeira. And no, I do not think that capoeira is ineffective anymore whatsoever. Okay. But anyway, those are like many experiences like that added up for me. They added up and I had to change. I had to change the way that I train, and that in turn affected my performance, and that in turn affected my personality. Okay, another example, and I apologize, but this is a long journey. Okay, another example was in Austin. I was taking basically it was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it was mixed with Tony Blauer's stuff. The instructors were Tony Blauer people, so it was like street Jiu-Jitsu kind of thing. But anyway, it was basically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And in that class, I went up against a former Marine drill instructor. Outside of the class, he's the nicest guy. He's like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing, bro? He talks to you like that. When it comes to sparring time, he sees bloody murder. He turns it on. He's there to kill you. It was like psychotic. Yeah, and I think he was had some mental issues. Poor guy, Poor. I don't know what he saw. I wouldn't doubt it if he's been to Iraq and all that. So all the soldiers out there, I mean, yeah, they can experience some very very intense, traumatizing things. So I don't hold anything against the guy. All right, but definitely this guy as a sparring partner is one of the worst. And he pushed me, and me being, I was just as stupid because I would match his intensity. I was like, oh, you're going to go that far? All right, I could bring it. I have killer instinct too. Let's go. Let's go, soldier boy. That was my attitude. I was like, I don't take shit from nobody. I don't care who you are. So that was my ego once again, right? And, part of me had make all kinds of excuses. Well, he's doing it to me. Hey, he's strong enough, he's tough enough, he's bigger than me, he's heavier than me, and he's an ex, Marine drill sergeant. Then I can go hard against this guy. I can go all out against this guy. Then he can handle it. It's all good. This is a great opportunity. I would tell myself these things. Well, this one time, I had him in the guard position, and he was going to pick me up and slam me on my head, right? And before he could do it, I basically did what I call the Batman armbar or whatever. I did an armbar from the guard where I'm upside down on my head. I'm basically doing a handstand, or a headstand. Yeah, it's a headstand because my arms are basically breaking his arm. So I did an armbar upside down, and the reason why I'm upside down because he's trying to pick me up, and he was, like I said, he was going to slam me on my head. I basically had a fraction of a second before he's going to lift me up and slam me. I popped his arm before he could do that. So it was a speed game. And that's why I tell you guys, never play the speed game. Because if I had messed up, or if he was just a little bit faster, or if I was a little bit off, or who knows, it's speed. It's luck of the draw. He would have slammed me on my head. This guy's strong. That would have sent me to the hospital. There was another guy that got slammed on his head in the same fashion. And this guy ended up wearing the halo ring. If you guys know what that is, it's to protect your neck, and it's this device that holds your head up. Basically, he had surgery on his neck, and he ended up wearing a halo ring. That is what could have easily have happened to me, and I was so lucky that I popped his arm before he did that to me. Yes, he was hurt, and I feel bad for doing that. But he was, and in my mind, I justified it once again. I was like, well, what you were trying to do to me was way worse, But somewhere in my psyche, somewhere in me, I was like, that's not. I just hurt my training partner. Something's not right here. So then I went to my instructors, and luckily this place had amazing instructors. And you know what? This dojo, they were trying to do progressive Tang Sudo. They were just trying to do progressive martial arts, period. It was called the Austin Martial Arts Academy. I believe they still exist to this day. And I have a lot of good things to say about them. Okay. Do I think they're perfect? No. But I have definitely one of the better schools that I've been to, where other schools were just, maybe they just want your money, where other schools were abusive. Where all they did was they want to use you as a punching bag or a sandbag, and they're just going to beat up on you to better themselves. This was miles ahead of that kind of school. And they even had a picture of the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, at the front of their dojo. So where the mirrors are, on the top, they had a picture of Morihei Ueshiba. And, they really followed that kind of like spiritual path, the path, not just skill, And I said to them, there were other incidents where I lost my temper, and I emailed the instructor and I said, this is how I felt. And the instructor very calmly would respond back and just give me advice. And so this was actually not the instructor. There were two instructors. But then this guy was an assistant instructor, and this guy was a professional fighter level. He had actually fought in Japan and stuff. And I asked him, I said, have you ever sparred with that guy, the Marine guy? because I just had a brutal war with him. And he said, yo, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I was like, how do you handle him? What do you do? And he says, I just tap. And I was like, what? And I looked at he could beat that guy easier. I barely beat this guy. But this guy, like I said, is a professional fighter. And he's way taller, stronger, heavier than me. So he would have a much easier time against that Marine guy. So I was like, you tap to him? You're better than him. Is what I didn't say that, but I was thinking your skill level, and you could match him strength for strength, pound for pound. What, you tap to him? Why? And he says, hey man, I'm here to learn. What, I don't need to do that. I got nothing to prove. I fought in Japan. I'm not getting paid for that. I don't need to do that. So if you don't get it, I'll just tap. I'll tap 100 times if I need to. I'll just tap, 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 tap. So then I go home, I come to class the next day, and I'm fine. And I was like, I go home tonight after this war I had, I'm jacked up. Tomorrow, I'm going to be sore as hell, And I was like, that's going to affect my training. That's going to affect how much, because I'm going to be like, oh, my body's aching. I can't really concentrate on the technique. I can't really, it affects you. So I was like, this guy is a genius. So I need to set my ego aside and just tap. So those are the kinds of lessons, because my instinct is to go, oh, you want to go hard? All right, we'll go hard. Let's see. You think you're a badass? Well, you just crossed the wrong path, because guess what? I'm a badass, and I'm a bigger badass than you. That's my attitude. That was my attitude. I'm like, oh, you want to have a showdown? I am Clint Eastwood in the Western movies. I have the fastest gun in the West. That was my attitude, So here I am learning to let go of that, to become better. And I remember my instructor, he said to me, he said, are you trying to win or are you trying to get better? And I said, I'm definitely trying to get better. Then he said, but what you're doing is you're trying to win. You're not trying to learn and get better. You're just trying to win right now. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I could care less about this victory here. Okay. But I was like, but then how would I know if I could win or not? And he's like, does it matter? Does it matter? And then, yeah, so that was a huge help from the Austin Martial Arts Academy. From all of those people. It's huge help in my experience. So anyway, I'm talking about improving your personality. So let me tell you guys, what I was talking about with my buddy yesterday was, he said, when you lose your temper, do you have any control? People say you have a choice. Do you really have a choice at that moment? And to me, that you do have a choice in the big picture, but at that specific moment where you haven't thought about any of this kind of thing, and you're seeing blood red, to me, you don't have a choice at that moment. But then once you realize, and you first, like I said, the first step is to acknowledge. So the first step is go, whoa, I have a bad temper. All right. So then the next time it happens, I have to identify that. I have to go, oh, I'm losing my temper. And normally I don't take that step. I lose my temper and I'll punch a wall. I argue with my girlfriend or whatever. And I would get really pissed off. And the next thing, I punched a wall and now I have a huge hole. And when I leave the apartment, I got to pay for it, or, I got to fix it or whatever, right? It's huge pain in the butt because I lost my cool, right? So first step is to acknowledge. So the next time I'm arguing with my girlfriend back in the day and I'm ready to punch the wall because I go, whoa, it's about to happen. I'm about to repeat Groundhog Day. Okay, stop the cycle. Stop the cycle. So I immediately start thinking about that. And then the next step is interesting. I might still be mad, furious, whatever, but at least I stopped the cycle. At least I realized. So that's super important. You got to practice that. Okay. And so I was talking to my friend, and I remember we were talking about like, if you've done full contact sparring, it's natural for the human body to tense up, adrenaline rush, tunnel vision, you know, and you're not thinking straight. You probably don't even remember. A lot of times you don't remember, so you're not even thinking, and you hold your breath. Those are all things that we don't want. We don't want. We want a calm, cool head. We want to be able to still make decisions. We want to be able to think quickly. We want to be able to not be tense so that we can move better. We want to breathe so that we don't become out of breath and become tired faster. So we want basically the opposite of that, right? But it's very natural for that to occur. So how do you deal with that? And I remember, like, for stand-up striking back in the day, yeah, I was scared. Yes, adrenaline rush and all that. But for me, it was like watching the movies. And I was like, I'm doing what I see in the movies. I'm doing what I play in the Street Fighter video game. But I'm doing this for real. It's me now. So I was just too excited, and I was having too much fun. So for me, it was scary, but it was also fun. So for the stand-ups striking, it was a different animal. But for the grappling, I would hold my breath. I would tense up. The guy's bigger and stronger, and he grabs a hold of me, and I tense up. And at that moment, I would hold my breath. I wasn't as natural at grappling as I was at stand-up striking. So that was a problem for me right there. And then I was like, okay, I need to breathe. So the next time I would grapple somebody, I would start to realize, oh, you did it again. You stopped, you held your breath. And then so I'm holding my breath, and I'm tense, and we're doing like a seesaw tug of war, strength versus strength kind of thing. And then I'm like, dude, you're holding your breath. Okay. So then I started going, okay, the next time with somebody else, because you rotate in your sparring, your who you roll with in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. So the next guy, I was like, okay, let's just breathe. Let's focus on the breathing. Okay, boom. I'm in his guard. Okay, but it's okay. I'm breathing. Oh, so I start from there. At that point, I had to throw away. Forget about getting arm bars. Forget about triangles. Forget about getting the mount or the guard. Forget about positions. Forget about all that. Let's just focus on being able to breathe. Let's focus on just being able to see, not get tunnel vision. Let's focus on the simpler things first before you could even start working on passing his guard or whatever, right? So I started doing that, because before I would just try to get the guard as fast as I can, and before I know it, I'm holding my breath. I'm just seeing black. I can't really see anything, and then sometimes I don't even know what happened. What happened? I don't know. I think I got you an arm bar. I'm not really sure, so I kind of blanked out. So then I'm like, okay, let's slow it down. They may not slow it down, but me slow it down. So then I don't care if they tap me out or if they get a better position on me, as long as I can see. And that improved me greatly, right? So this is the same thing. The next thing was when I'm arguing with my ex-girlfriend and I'm about to punch the wall, I go, whoa, 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 Groundhog Day, let's stop this. Number 2, let's start breathing. Just breathe. Okay, I can breathe, and then I'll start to recognize, no, I'm still too riled up. I'm still way too riled up. So then I was like, I still need energy release because I'm way too angry at this point. What do I cannot punch things because, and one time I punched outside of the apartment, and it was really hard. It wasn't like one of these weak walls that you could just punch through. I punched it so hard that I remember immediately my response was, I broke my hand. I need to go to the hospital. So I was like so angry, like, I am the Incredible Hulk. Damn it. And I punched the wall, like, motherfucker, and I punched the wall, and then immediately I was like, I broke my hand. I need to go to the hospital. It's so funny how quickly you change. Boy, did I change my attitude real fast. But anyway, luckily I didn't break my fist that time. But then I was like, okay, I need to do something. I was like, I cannot punch things. So I definitely can't punch the weak wall because, I'm wasting money there. And I cannot punch hard things because, like, I thought, you know what? I could punch the floor. The floor is okay. I'll punch the floor. No, I'll break my arm. I'll break my hand. So that wasn't good enough. So then I said to myself, run. You can run. Freaking tell her. And you know what? I had some exes that hated that. They're like, no, I want you to stay and finish this argument. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I am too worked up. I'll be back. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be back. It's really not going to take long. And I just sprint. I sprint. And really, honestly, it's probably seconds. I'm done. I'm like, you know what? I'm not that angry anymore. At first, I'm like, I'm so angry. I'll run to the opposite side of the world. I will swim the ocean. I don't care. I don't give a damn. I'll swim through sharks, alligators, lions. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm too pissed. And then I sprint. And then, honestly, a few seconds, I am done. If you really sprint, your body's just like, I can't take that. The saying, fatigue makes cowards of us all. Oh man, it hits really fast, and I'm done really quick, and I can come back more calm, and continue talking or whatever is necessary. So you do need to address things like that. I've gotten much better at it now, to the point where I don't need to run, and sometimes I could just, like, after we talk, I'll just meditate in the dark, and I could calm down, reflect on things, and not get worked up too bad. To sleep at that point is not possible for me. My mind all kinds of things race through. But to meditate, and when you meditate, I try to sometimes follow the transcendental meditation where it's like, you just repeat like a certain sound, like Om or whatever. Everyone supposedly has a different sound. So you just repeat things like that over and over and over and over and over, So yes, thoughts creep into your head, but I don't worry about it. And then you just focus more on saying Om over and over and over, something like that. For me, I have a chant that I have, and I'll just do that over and over again. So that kind of thing, and focusing on the breathing, and there's different kinds of meditation, and the more different ones you study, I feel like, because I'm a cross trainer guy, right? So I cross train in different types of breathing and meditation. So I combine all of them, and that way my ADD, because I'm not good at meditating, when I get tired of one or I feel like it's not working well, I could switch to the next method, and then switch to the next method and the next method, and just cycle through, So that works for me. But now it's like when I get into an argument, that kind of thing, I feel like more like I could start focusing on my voice. And I noticed that they're increasing their voice because that's normal. When people argue, they start talking louder and they start yelling. So then I start focusing on my voice and control that, and I'll do the opposite. Like I see them yelling, so then I will talk much more calm and say, hey, look, I don't want to argue. Okay, can we bring it down to this level? Can you tone it? Because right now you have a lot of hostile energy. So I know this is not a comfortable subject, but can we talk much calmer to each other? And that helps. It's kind of like if you're not in a good mood and you force a smile on yourself, it starts to lift the spirits a little bit. It starts to, because that comes from the yoga principle of the body affects the mind, and the mind affects the body, right? So by if your mind, for example, is not calm and you're thinking of a million different things, because maybe you got a million different things you got to do and you're stressing yourself out, then it's smart to just take a few seconds, maybe a few minutes out of your day, and go to a quiet spot. I don't care if it's the public restroom. Go in there and then just, you don't have to go into full-blown tree pose, but just stand on one leg. And by doing that, you're focusing your body to focus your balance, okay? Because if the more ADD you are and you're going, I got to do this, then I got to go run to the bank, and then I got to make sure I get this for grocery, and then I got to pick this person up, and that your brain's all over the place. And if you try to stand on one leg, you'll notice that you can't. You can't do it very well. So you just breathe and force the physical, and when you notice like, oh, I'm balancing better, then go back to your daily and go, okay, what do I need to do? Because the physical will affect the mind, and it'll calm you down a little bit, and same with if your body's not feeling great, you could think positive and happy thought, and that'll help your body. I strongly believe that, and that's not something I made. That's like I said, to me, yoga principle. So these are all things, tools that I'm talking to you guys about. And I'm sorry that it's all over the place. It's because this is new for me to put it down like this. I think I've done it on YouTube before for you guys, but never this thoroughly. Okay, but these are all things to help you change your personality for the better. And once again, that means, the way that I see it is, if you take the effort to love yourself enough to do this, then that's like getting a cool car that you have and just adding all kinds of cool stuff to it to make it even better. That's what you're doing. But it's you. You're doing it to you, and nothing beats that to me. And that's why I call it the ultimate martial arts technique. If you do this is like a great way to improve your life, to make your life better. Wherever you go, wherever you are, whomever you interact with, you're making it a better, you're improving it. There's no guarantees, but you're increasing the odds that it will be a better interaction than before you do this to yourself. Then you're always like, there's a chance that I'm not going to like this person, and then I'm going to act hostile, and then I'm going to have a terrible experience, and I'm just going to be miserable, and you're just increasing the odds for that. Would you want to increase the odds for that, or do you want to increase the odds for a much, much better situation, And that's huge. So, the martial arts has taught me that, and that's one of the reasons why I call my, that is the reason why I call my YouTube channel the Wmpyr channel. The Wmpyr is a word that I made up. Wmpyr is a demon and a vampire hybrid. It's half demon, half vampire. And it's really about conquering your inner demons. That's why the Frankenstein stuff that you frequently see in my logo, it symbolizes the cross-training, because Frankenstein's monster he's put together from a lot of different parts. So that's the cross-training aspect. I like cross-training, so that's why you see the Frankenstein's monster. And I like Frankenstein's monster, but the vampire part, the vampire, at least in some folklore, the vampire was synonymous with like demonic, right? So to me, that's an inner demon that I'm talking about here. So conquering your inner demon. And by conquering it, you change your personality for the better. So that's why it's called the Wmpyr channel. And I'm doing that through martial arts. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.